Hey everybody, it's MommaOG. I am back with another reaction. Today I have a donation request from my friend Dave. Dave, as always, thank you so much. I did a reaction to a Radiohead song the other day called There There. And I got that suggestion from a viewer on another video where I talked extensively about my anxiety. He or she said that the song helps them with anxiety. Some people in the comments of that are saying that song's not about anxiety at all. Some people are. So again, music is open to interpretation. Dave made a comment on that video saying that I should listen to the song Free by Florence and the Machine, and that this is definitely about anxiety. The way my anxiety works, I'm a little anxious about listening to a song about anxiety. I'm hoping it'll be a bit of a release, hence the name Free. Couple of things before we get started. I am recording upstairs. My dogs are downstairs. Mike is at work. There's a fair to good chance that they're going to start barking. Sometimes they bark at nothing. If a bus drives by or if the UPS truck, they see it out the window, they'll start barking. So if it happens while I'm listening to the song, I may have to pause it to deal with it. I never know if it's going to happen or not. Also, if you would like to request a reaction, you can do so by clicking on a donation link down in the description. Send along the information of the song you'd like me to hear, and I will get it recorded as soon as possible. I also take notes while I'm reacting, so if you see me looking down, I'm just writing down a couple of things so I remember what I want to talk about. I've got my earbuds in. Let's go ahead. Let me see if this has closed captions. I'm going to turn those on. Let's go ahead and take a listen. It's her anxiety. Okay.
Sometimes I wonder if I should be medicated, if I would feel better just lightly sedated. The feeling comes so fast and I cannot control it.
Wow.
I'm on fire, but I'm trying not to show it.
Hello. Every single word of this so far. Facts for me. Okay. I'm going to start it over. Where she starts singing.
Sometimes I wonder
There's some
if I
chaotic
should be
violin there in the right ear.
if I would feel better just lightly sedated. The feeling comes so fast and I cannot control it. I'm on fire, but I'm trying not to show it. As it picks me up, puts me down. It picks me up, puts me down. Picks me up, puts me down. 100 times a day.
That artwork that they just showed looks Ukrainian. Just a little note there. I don't know if it is, but it looks Ukrainian.
Puts me down 100 times a day.
Hold on. So sorry. Dave might have mentioned that this video might have been filmed in Kiev. I need to find out, because that would make a lot of sense. Okay, yes. My memory is not what it used to be, but he has told me that. A while back, I think he suggested this song on another Florence and the Machine song that I did and mentioned that it was filmed in Ukraine. And then recently on that Radiohead, I think he mentioned it also. But I didn't remember that at the beginning of my reaction. People riding dirt bikes around the neighborhood. So it was filmed in Kyiv, Ukraine, November 2021. It was released April 2022. Okay, so that confirms it. No wonder the artwork looked Ukrainian. It looked very familiar to me. I'm just going to rewind a little bit. I'm so sorry.
To show it as it picks me up, puts me down, it picks me up, puts me down, picks me up,
Absolutely.
puts me down. 100 times a day, it picks me up, puts me down, chews me up, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down. I'm always running from something to push it back, but it keeps on coming and being clever. Never got me very far because it's all in my head. You're too sensitive, they said. I said okay, but let's discuss this at the hospital.
Wow.
Puts me down, picks me up, puts me down, picks me up, puts me down. 100 times a day, picks me up, puts me down, chews me up, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down.
God.
But I hear the music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm dancing, I'm free. I hear the music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm dancing.
Sorry. That's what I was talking about. I slammed my ham down on the desk and it went through the floor and now the dogs are barking. It was just me. My female dog Rio that was doing that barking, she has anxiety too. And my other one is a worry wart like me. I should have known better than to slam my hand down on the desk, but I'm almost glad that that happened because I was starting to get choked up. This part here about music, I'll talk about it afterwards, but 100% can relate to that. I am so incredibly sorry for all the pausing. I'm going to rewind it a little bit. I'm not even 2 minutes in. I'm going to try not to pause anymore.
Puts me down, chews me up, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down. But I hear the music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm dancing, I'm free. I hear the music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm dancing. Is this how it is? Is this how it's always been? To exist in the face of suffering and death and somehow still keep singing. Oh, like Christ upon a cross, who died for us, who died for what? Oh, don't you wanna call it off? But there is nothing else that I know how to do but to open up my arms and give it all to you. 'Cause I hear music, I feel the beat, and for a moment when I'm
dedicated to the spirit, creativity, and perseverance of our brave Ukrainian friends. Filmed in Kyiv on 18 November 2021 with Ukrainian filmmakers and artists who radiate freedom can never be extinguished. Oh, I'm going to have to insert that ugly cry transition again. I related to every single word of that song, every single solitary word. Okay, that seemed like a deeply introspective, personal message coming from Florence, but yet that I could directly relate to. I could have written that song. I could have written that song. Every single word of it. It depicted the anxiety, which turns into panic, the exhausting cycle of trying to escape these racing thoughts that are building your anxiety. There was a weird, not in a bad way, but there was a weird contradiction with the message of the song and the actual music. The music was uplifting. It felt freeing, like, you know, she was dancing, just letting it all go at certain parts of that. And she's even said in the lyrics, when I dance and when I feel the beat, I feel free. So the music depicted that freedom for me. But the message, the words, the lyrics convey perfectly how anxiety is for me in my life, and I'm sure for many others. I don't like to speak for how other people experience anxiety, but at least I know that Florence maybe feels it as I do. I'm sure it works similarly for everybody who has it to the degree that I have it. I've been running into a lot of songs that have this contradicting thing going on lately. I don't know what's going on, but it makes songs memorable when that happens, because it's a powerful thing when you can succeed at doing that. You can succeed at having an underlying darker message, yet the music is more uplifting. It bodes well with the title of the song. You had Bill, that I recognize him. I think he's a British actor. You had him representing her anxiety throughout the entire video, but I loved how she turned her nervous energy, which, you know, when you're feeling that in the moment, you've got to expend it or it's going to evolve into panic. And she does so by just dancing, just freely dancing. I can relate to that as far as having to do stuff to stop that cycle that creates my anxiety. You know, sometimes the anxiety just comes on because of situations that are going on. You know, yesterday when Mike left for work at 5:45 in the morning, we had hellacious rains immediately after. And at 6 o'clock, I heard dripping from my bedroom ceiling. He had previously patched up a leak in our roof, and I heard just a bunch of little dripping real quick. And immediately I woke up, I was awake for the day, and immediately felt the anxiety. So it comes on differently. Sometimes it's self-induced by thinking about a bunch of stuff all at one time, 90 different directions. You know, I've mentioned the catastrophizing stuff. There's just all kinds of things that are going on at any given time. So I can relate to her singing about how music and feeling the beat of music and then just, dancing. Or for me, it's like singing at the top of my lungs in the car. That can be incredibly freeing. It just stops your brain. I do other things. I play games, video games. I do what I'm doing at this very moment that helps me just focus on something other than what my brain is trying to talk me into focusing on. The editing helps with that. There's so many things. Doing stuff around my house, cleaning, cooking, taking care of my plants, hanging out with my animals, cleaning up the bird room, just anything to shift the focus onto something productive. That has really been an incredible thing it's kind of a double-edged sword. I've mentioned in other reactions, I've had this anxiety for 30 years resulting from some trauma that I went through. On and off, have been in therapy for it, have been medically treated for it, and, ADHD as well, which they kind of play into each other. And then I was fine for a period of time. 9 years, I was fine. No medicine, no therapy. I still experienced anxiety. I have some weather-related anxiety from surviving a tornado. So like when the wind blows or when we're getting a thunderstorm, I start to get a little panicky. Always have. That has never gone away. But I have found ways since, I'd say probably 2019 when I stopped working, I've found ways to kind of focus my mind on other things. And that has worked really well for me until my father passed away 2 years ago. I didn't even think about my anxiety or the ADHD returning when that happened. I had a lot to do when he passed away. I've talked a lot about this too in the last several of my reactions. He lived with me. I spent the last 16 years with him in this house that I still live in. And he died here. I was with him when he died. He's got 4 kids, but none of them, it was me that lived with him. So I took care of his final arrangements, his bills, everything that has to be done when you lose a parent. That was all me. That kept me focused at the time. But when that stuff was over, a day after his birthday that same year, I lost my cat Buddy of 19 years. So, it was just kind of starting to pile on. And then I just started finding myself being hyper focused or feeling the need to be hyper focused on doing stuff. Not being able to sit still and I always have to have something to do or something that holds my interest to focus on. He died in March 2024. That summer, I started rearranging my house. I started Uber cleaning. I started moving rooms, totally moving one room downstairs, just rearranging rooms in my house, cleaning out stuff, cleaning out a shed that I've kept stuff in for 16 years from when I moved up here from Virginia. Took me 5 days to do that when I didn't even barely touch that stuff for 16 years. So then I started getting more plants, and getting obsessed with how to properly take care of them and getting just the perfect pot and obsessed about the perfect watering method and the perfect soil, and that stuff was all my ADHD and my anxiety, kind of forming a relationship with each other, a love affair, if you will. And then when stuff would go wrong, fast forward last winter, stuff kind of just started spiraling. Mike had a hip replacement surgery. He got extremely sick. Our hot water heater was about to blow up, and I found out it has been leaking carbon monoxide in our basement since we moved into this house in 2019. Just, my bird got sick and eventually passed away on Valentine's Day, my first parrot that I ever rescued. I had been anticipating that loss since 2008. I was told by his vet that he probably had 5 years because he had a heart arrhythmia. But he lasted another 18 years with me. So I spent that 18 years just waiting for that moment. That's just how it works. So it was still incredibly devastating, and just all of these things piling on, but how I'm dealing with it has caused me not to be able to sit still. I can't just sit down and exist. I get up in the morning, I make myself my cup of coffee. While I'm drinking my coffee, I'm playing a video game on my phone. I can't even focus on TV. It just doesn't hold my interest. I used to have no problem watching TV. I used to have no problem just laying around and watching, binge watching something for hours at a time, but I just can't do that anymore. And so I always have to be doing something that requires brain power or physical concentration, and doing stuff physically. So the whole part about her feeling free when it comes to music, that's another thing that has saved me in some of my darkest times is music. Music helps me with my anxiety as well. Sometimes I will just go and get in the car and drive around the block so that I can listen to music full blast and sing along to it, because that releases energy and anxiety for me. She conveyed perfectly in this song how you desperately want peace, but you're trapped. You're trapped inside this vicious cycle of overwhelming thoughts. For me personally, that led, after my dad's death, I always had this ADHD, anxiety, and PTSD since I experienced that trauma 30 years ago. But I was fine for a time, and then it just slowly crept its way back in, and it manifested itself in ways that I hadn't experienced prior. So it evolved along with me. I never imagined, I thought, okay, I've licked that, I've dealt with that. I've overcome that part of my life, but here we are. That was amazing. Yet again, anything that helps me know I'm not alone. This almost exactly describes what I go through. Like I said before, I could have written this song. I wonder if she just wrote this song about it, or if she actually has anxiety like this as well. I can't imagine somebody writing a song just perfectly depicting it who doesn't have anxiety themselves. So when I recorded this reaction a little bit earlier today, there was a specific part at the end that I wanted to talk about that I completely slipped my mind to even mention anything about. So I am doing another recording, and I'm going to add this into the video. But there was a part here at the end that just kind of made me laugh, but almost, was attributing to the emotions that I was feeling, because it was also very relatable. I think I've got it queued up here. You've got this guy in the whole video portraying her anxiety here. And then all of a sudden you just see her lean her head on it, which is a relatable experience in a weird way that didn't even think about how I was going to explain. But I will. Let's just watch this whole part. There's another part where the anxiety puts its arm around her, almost consoling her, which is also relatable in a way that I'm going to have to try to figure out how to articulate. But I wanted to address this part. This part was important to me. Yep. So, in general, when we think of anxiety, it causes us a lot of distress, emotional turmoil sometimes. But over the years, you kind of build a relationship with it, I would say. It's like a kind of a one constant that is always there. This is going to sound really strange to say, but it's just something that I don't think I can help anybody understand unless you experience anxiety yourself and do so over a long period of time. There comes a point where, you saw her kind of rest your head on it. That kind of represents, for me personally, that sometimes my anxiety, and when I start feeling anxious about something, that means that there's maybe something I need to pay attention to. So sometimes I can rely on my anxiety to give me cues that I am not seeing otherwise. So I see that kind of resting your head on your anxiety as kind of not so much a crutch, but just an acceptance that, yeah, for the most part, you make me miserable when I can't control you, but sometimes you do help me, even though it's uncomfortable when you do it. Because there's been situations where, my anxiety will cue me in to certain things. And then my physical body just kind of reacts to it automatically. And that cues me into things that I need to be paying attention to. And then when it showed the anxiety wrapping its arm around her and kind of pulling her close, that's also kind of a double-edged sword thing with having anxiety for a long time. It's kind of I won't say it's a comfort, but and I'm not going to say that it's vindictive or anything, because of course anxiety doesn't have a conscience to make decisions on how to behave and how to act, but that part represented to me that I'm always going to be here. The same way she laid her head on its shoulder, it reciprocated back, saying, maybe in that moment they were having a conversation with each other, like, okay, well, sometimes even though you make me miserable and crazy sometimes, you have helped me in certain situations. And it's in turn saying, you're welcome. I'm always going to be here to do that and all the other stuff that I do. I just had to come back and insert that because I remember thinking I have to talk about that part, and I ended up not doing it. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about that I didn't was the fact that this was filmed in Ukraine and that they have a dedication to the Ukrainian people here at the end, which is always bittersweet for me to see other people paying tribute to Ukraine. I'm not going to get into the geopolitical war, my opinions and such, and all the work I've done on different projects involving this particular invasion and war, and all of the knowledge that I have of the region. I know a lot about this region's history. Russia was a constant and huge staple in my life. I grew up through the end of the Cold War, and I grew up with the constant threat of Russia nuking us. So I don't know if that makes my biases go a certain direction automatically. It may, but yeah, I thought it was very sweet that they put this dedication in the end of this. Obviously, it was released 2 months after the invasion began. So the fact that they added this, I thought was very thoughtful and made me choke up a little bit. And as I was sitting here watching this video, I was wondering, and even reading this, that the filmmakers and artists and people that were involved in making the video, you know, and even the sites that they used for the filming, I just wonder if they're still around. And that made me a little sad as well to think about. Yeah. War is never a good thing, no matter who's involved. It's just one power or two powers who make decisions on behalf of all the innocent people that they rule over. And those people can't do anything about it. But those people are the people that are paying the price in lives, destruction, the loss of their homes. Many of them have had to leave. Many people have left Russia because of this, losing their freedoms, losing their children, a lot. And it's all about the powers that be. Putin decides that he wants to take over Ukraine and that it never existed to begin with, which is his narrative. And I said I wasn't going to get into this, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. I kind of wish I would have discovered this song a few months ago. Not anybody's fault but my own. But Dave, I really appreciate you, as always, putting this in front of me probably when I needed it the most. This thing you're doing with these songs that you're giving me to listen to, I don't know if you're telepathic or if it's just a matter of you getting to know me pretty well at this point. But I'm finding it uncanny at this point, how much you're kind of reading the stuff that I need to hear. It almost makes me want to cry now, because it's just, it's getting more and more intense, which it's a good thing. I appreciate it. I don't want you to think that it's a bad thing, because I mention it a lot lately. It's comforting, again, knowing that there's people out there that understand me. And that is part of knowing that you kind of understand me. So thank you, Dave. I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for being here to share this with me. I will see you on the next one. Why are you biting me? You want a foot massage?